Hi everyone, today I'm going to introduce Covent Garden.
Covent Garden is one of the most popular tourist attractions in London. Located in the West End of London, Covent Garden is renowned for its luxury fashion and beauty stores as well as the award-winning restaurants and theaters. Did you know that Covent Garden is also the place where the opening scene in My Fair Lady was shooted? The heroine Eliza Doolittle sings the song, "Wouldn't It Be Lovely?" right in front of the St. Paul's Church, also known as the Actors' Church, which has been located at the heart of Covent Garden for more than 300 years. Have you wondered why that film chooses Covent Garden as the setting for the opening scene, especially when there are so many tourist attractions in London? Why not beautiful Tower Bridge? Why not Big Ben? And why Covent Garden? To answer this question, we have to start with the history of Covent Garden. About 800 years ago, in the 1500s, Covent Garden was actually called Convent Garden. At the time, it was the vegetable garden for the monks of Westminster Abbey and had remained in the monks' possession for quite a long time. In 1536, however, King Henry VIII seized the land as part of the dissolution of the monasteries. Who is King Henry VIII? Yeah, you heard me right. He was the king who married 6 wives. More importantly, in order to divorce his first wife, he broke up with the Roman Catholic Church and became the head of the Church of England. He started the English Reformation not because he was especially religious, but because he wanted to divorce his first queen who failed to produce a male heir for him. From 1536 to 1541, Henry VIII closed every monastery and nunnery in England and Wales, and confiscated all their lands and wealth. King Henry VIII not only became quite rich, but also got a son he wanted. For a time, the king didn't know what to do with the garden land he seized from the monks. It was not until he died that his young son, King Edward VI, granted the land to John Russell, 1st Earl of Bedford in 1552. Covent Garden is actually a bastardization of Convent Garden, which it was called as early as the 1500s for being the vegetable garden of the monks of Westminster Abbey. For a time the land remained in the monks' possession, and in the possession of several leaseholders until, in 1536, King Henry VIII seized the land as part of the dissolution of the monasteries. His young son, King Edward VI, granted the land to John Russell, 1st Earl of Bedford in 1552. The land remained in the hand of the Bedford family until the 1630s that Francis Russia, the 4th Earl of Bedford, built a house for himself in Covent Garden on the north side of the Strand. In a bid to make money out of his property, the Earl then commissioned royal architect Inigo Jones to build a square there, with houses fit for the habitations of gentlemen and men with ability. In other words, the Earl wanted to create an exclusive residential district for the upper-class people. It was no coincidence that the Earl hired Inigo Jones for his development project. John was the first significant architect in England, and he was the first person to introduce the classical architecture of Rome and the Italian Renaissance to Britain. The Piazza was undoubtedly a watershed in English architecture. As wealthy families moved into the arcaded houses Jones designed to the north and east, the Piazza became a place for them to take a stroll and for open-air public entertainment. Although the Piazza and the arcaded houses were meant to be an exclusive space for the upper class, during the 1650s, a fruit and vegetable market gradually developed in the square. After the Great Fire of London in 1666, more Londoners migrated from the destroyed city of London to Covent Garden. Consequently, the whole market was exploded with activity, and the entire square was devoted to the selling of fresh fruit and vegetables. Eventually, Covent Garden became London's largest market. Covent Garden was noted not just for its expanded market, but also its theaters. The first theater Royal on Drury Lane and the Royal Opera on Bow Street. This made Covent Garden London's theatrical center, attracting droves of theater goers and giving rise of other business catering to their needs. The combined chaos of the market, nightlife, and theater scene gradually became more than the upper-class residents could bear. By the end of the 18th century, the majority of the aristocracy had gone. More houses were turning into taverns, coffee houses, bookshops, gambling houses, drinking dens, and, of course, brothels. Indeed, by the 18th century, Covent Garden had become a well-known red light district, attracting notable prostitutes. There was even a guide called Harry's List of Covent Garden Ladies. It was published annually, providing potential clients with all information about prostitutes working in Covent Garden. By the onset of the Victorian era, Covent Garden had grown even more considerably. As you can see from the picture, it is very much like the traditional market in Taiwan, bustling with noises, smells, and sight during the market hours. Expectably, not all people were happy about the noise, the stench, the obstructed streets, the unauthorized selling of booze, and potentially disorderly people in the dark lanes of market. Despite the many protests and complaints, for years, nothing changed. Finally, in 1828, the piazza's ramshackle stalls were knocked down and the entire complex was rebuilt to a neoclassical design by Charles Fuller, into a bright, colorful, cheerful market full of light and space. It was later expanded with the Floral Hall, Charter Market, and Jubilee Market. As the business and cultural heart of London City, Covent Garden was, oddly, a place where high society could intermingle with ordinary Londoners, farmers, and flower sellers. Given the constant struggle between the high and the low, the rich and the poor in the history of Covent Garden, it is perhaps not so surprising that the fantasy about transforming a poor, vulgar flower girl into a fair lady would start there. For a class-conscious society like England, Covent Garden was one of the few places where people of different kinds would tolerate mingling together. It certainly provides the perfect location for a scholar of phonetics like Professor Henry Higgins to test his knowledge and to find a woman like Eliza Doolittle to prove his point. In a way, the process of converting Eliza into a lady reflects the upper-class struggle against the unceasing encroachment of the lower class on Covent Garden. What could Higgins' success in civilizing Eliza imply? Is it a celebration of the power of the high society to conquer all? Or is it suggesting that the distinction that the upper class insists on is perhaps nothing but a change of accent? What did you think?